if they pick up the victory here, undoubtedly the best team coming out of this group. It was coined the group of death. Fenerbahçe still have destiny in their own hand, can force their own tiebreaker right now if they're able to pick up this victory. However, the small blip of Bombers would not look all that too serious for Phong going into TL if they're able to pick up this win, especially if it is in similar fashion to game one of today.
Well, we can see the draft has begun. Phong Buffalo on the blue side will continue to show Kiro respect, banning away the Kathis and also the Rise away from Ruin. That does leave Fenerbahçe with the Akali and the Galio, as Nautilus, who made a very recent appearance and a good one there for Balulu, will also get taken off the board.
And I think, once again, the Rise ban is to open up picks like the Hecarim, like the Kennen for Zeros. It is a good answer up there in the top lane. Also very flexible. I like the bans of Akali and Jace, two of the strongest flex picks on blue side. However, it does leave Aurelia up and available if they would like to go towards that. Also a flex pick. And I haven't seen many tank junglers as of yet, but I think Sejuani pairs so well with the Aurelia that I expect to be the first pick here, Pastry Time. That is also something that Meliodas can look towards.
Well, it's potentially a very good call. Oh, they do steal the Kindred.
Very interesting. So they did play against Kindred last time. It was on Fenerbahce's lineup. They were able to navigate it with a Lee Sin pick. However, we saw Meliodas have a bit of a shocker on Lee Sin against the Bombers. So not surprised that they don't want to throw the gauntlet yet again. However, it does allow Fenerbahce to go towards that Aurelia and, you know, have the flexibility within their composition to take it top or mid if they would like.
Well, there's Braum to start things off. Galio starting to eat bans. Huh. At least on the red side, as there's Braum Talia for Fenerbahce. They're sticking to what they know.
So only 35 subs in. Plays the exact same champion. Hopefully plays it to a higher level than what we saw last game, because there were errors in the gameplay that we were pointing out, but a very similar composition coming together for Fenerbahce so far. And why not? You've just had such a successful performance. You've shown that your decision-making today is up to scratch. You know, Fongvu's going to come at you much quicker than what I feel like the previous opponents were going to be able to do, but more of the same for Fenerbahce seems to be good things.
I'm also not in on the joke, but Fiora is apparently at least a consideration between these players, so they are hovering it back and forth. Phong Buffalo, though, to slam it down the solo lanes here. Both LeBlanc and Aurelia will be taken here, and that's topside done in the draft for Phong.
Yeah, and just showing both ends of it without any solo laners locked in for Fenerbahce.
A lot of confidence.
You get to pick your poison. Obviously, Renekton is seen as a counterpick into the Aurelia matchup being considered right now for Ruin is locked in.
And that's it. Renekton will be visiting the lane once again, but as you mentioned, it was a mid lane counterpick last time, I believe, for Fenerbahce. I think they were the team piloting it there. Now into phase 2 of bans, though, we'll see exactly where the rest of this draft's going to go, because Phong Buffalo, I feel like in some ways have thrown down the gauntlet. They've picked their solo laners and let you counterpick. They've stolen your jungler's jungler and taken the Kindred.
In saying that, I think Fenerbahce have a reasonably good answer here. They've got the Braum to play weak side bottom lane around, you know, just allow them to farm 2v2, and then Talia plus Renekton. 2 seconds stun into the Talia W, the flick through the pebble is going to be so much damage. You know, Zeros' Aurelia no longer going to be negating that magic damage, so having a Talia visit the lane and dish, like, you know, most of the damage here is going to be impactful, and I want to see Ruin and Kirei get on the same page and really try and put the camp hard on Fongvu's top side of the map.
Well, we'll see if they can get it done. A bot lane ban, though, by Fenerbahce, because Phong Buffalo didn't pick any champions for that role. Rakan and Varus will be taken away from Hallett and Big Koro. Also, Azir continuing to be taken off the board against Balulu, who has shown up on the champion already.
Interesting that Fenerbahce actually ban away the Varus, because I would have expected Hades to play it and just play a very slow scaling lane with a lot of CC, hard to dive Varus Braum down in the bottom lane. Instead, looked like they were setting up for the aggressive Lucian pick that has now subsequently banned away. Is this going to be a Kai'Sa? Is it going to be Vayne? Something a little bit more volatile. Means that Kirei will have 2 side lanes that probably need his attention. Would like to see something safer, maybe an Ashe locked in here for Fenerbahce.
Time ticking down, that's Vel'Koz! So hiding their AD pick by the looks of things. I mean, there are some flex possibilities. We even saw bot Vel'Koz last MSI, I believe, coming from the Brazilians. So lots on the table here for Fenerbahce, certainly trying to hide a few things from Fongvu.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's the first Vel'Koz we've seen of the play-in stage so far. However, certainly something that we expect to see more of as MSI progresses. Very good control of the mid lane, able to push into most champions and just keep you locked under turret. Of course, LeBlanc wants to open up the map, wants to roam around with Meliodas. potentially have that taken away. You also mentioned the possibility that this is a niche flex into Hades lane. Haven't seen it yet. Certainly a consideration.
I actually was thinking, I don't expect either Talia or Vel'Koz to be bot side, but Hades is known for his Yasuo. If there was ever a time to maybe want to play something like that, there is opportunity there. But with Ezreal, Tahm Kench locked in, Phong Vu Buffalo feeling very robust in the 2v2, so it may very well be the Kai'Sa or the Vayne that you mentioned earlier.
And Phong Vu Buffalo showing us a different look right now, Pastry Time. This is a 1-3-1 comp locked in. You're going to have Ezreal, Tahm Kench for the mid lane priority. You have mixed damage on your side laners. In response, Fenerbahçe locking the Draven one more time is a good answer to the Ezreal, but this is a split map. I think Renekton needs attention from the Talia, and you have Draven Braum, who, if they do not win their lane, will not be able to get all that much done. You need to cash in the Draven. You need to guarantee the snowball. They've been able to do it once already this tournament. See whether they can do it for the second time.
Yep, certainly did forget about the Draven, but Hades looking for another repeat here on the pick. As Fenerbahçe line up their draft versus Phong Vu Buffalo in for what both teams actually is a must-win game.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I would have liked to actually see the Vayne locked in there for Hades, because Vel'Koz isn't going to be able to side lane. We've already talked about Phong Vu's 1-3-1. Vayne is one of the few champions in the AD carry position that can side lane quite successfully, especially against something like Aurelia. The increased mobility does allow to shut down part of that kit. However, no longer the choice, going to be a 4-1, going to be teamfight, going to be only Kuray trying to attack the side lanes with Ruin. Pressure on Fenerbahçe to be able to execute, I think, a harder comp right now. 1-3-1 with Tahm Kench is quite simple to play, and Phong Vu Buffalo have the advantage of not only being able to lose this game to guarantee the tiebreaker, but also the home crowd.
Yeah, certainly looking good, but we'll see if they can seal the deal and push themselves in towards the knockout stage of the MSI play-in. Fenerbahçe, I mean, a very interesting draft in general navigated between these two teams, but Fenerbahçe, certainly this is where they decided to put their chips against a very tough opponent. So, I mean, subbing in a new support in only 35. We've got Vel'Koz, we've got Renekton. Certainly a lot of different mix-ups here for Fenerbahçe, but if it works, they'll be happy because they do need to push for the tiebreak here.
And we'll see whether level 1 shenanigans come out one more time. You've got yourself a Braum, as well as Kuray's Talia, two of the best level 1 champions. You're going to be running into Ezreal, who is quite successful at level 1 as well. But we already saw flash burnt top side of the map by Kuray last game. See whether he can have another early impact on one of these lanes.
As you see, we do have a pause. We'll let you know exactly what the issue is there as we get updated. Only 35, he's like, comes on the stage, gets a pause, just to wipe his eyeballs down.
Creative use of the hand warmers there at Pastry Time. That's what it was all about. Obviously, Cold Temples coming out for only 35. And this is a big moment for the young man. Played in the backup squad all year, the academy lineup. Now to come into MSI play-ins in the must-win game. You know, they said they needed an injection of fresh blood into the bottom lane, a little bit more of that mechanical prowess. Fingers crossed for the young man that he's able to have a good performance. Yeah,
just to update you as well, Noel is having a mouse issue, so as soon as that's resolved, we'll jump ourselves back into the game. Having a look at the summoners, I can tell you that Balulu has Glacial Augment, kind of sticking to the role he's assigned himself or been assigned in this team of, you know, following Kuray around, enabling the rest of his map, and to his credit, he's done a great job of that so far. And
it is going to be a Glacial Augment versus Comet choice a lot of the time with Vel'Koz. Obviously, if you go Glacial Augments, we're at least expecting Spooky Ghost to come out in the Twin Shadows, if not also the Hextech GLP. When LeBlanc jumps into you, you know, very easy to hit the GLP. Whether it keeps you alive, I'm not so sure anymore, as it doesn't build out a Catalyst of the Protector. It now builds out of a Revolver. Is a little bit cheaper, however, as far as itemization goes. So I don't hate the look out of Balulu. It does just kind of raise the question, because when are you going to be in range for auto attacks, for combos against the LeBlanc? I feel like potentially the poking out of Comet could be a little bit more effective in the laning phase. Have to see how it plays out in the mid lane.
Well, we'll see what happens in this game, as well as both teams are surging out onto Summoner's Rift for what could be the final game for both these teams. Of course, we have Israel's Gaming and Bombers after this, but an elimination game for Fenerbahçe. In fact, the rest of the games they will play will be elimination games from at least the rest of this stage. So we'll see just how many more is left to play as Meliodas face checking 3 people. Braum, and there's the stun, and that's going to be first blood over. Who's going to grab it? It's Vel'Koz as today's lucky winner.
And what a really nice stack coming through from Fenerbahçe. They take their bottom lane of Braum, Draven. You could see Kuray as well as Balulu were... sorry, it was Kure and Ruin looking for something on the bottom side of the map while that was all happening, but the face check came out. Early first blood picked up for Balulu means a second ring in a LeBlanc matchup. That feels very nice.
Hey, Balulu will be happy as he does get that shop in and go back towards the mid lane. So already off to a rough start here for Meliodas.
And because it was such an early invade pastry time, it didn't allow time for, you know, Pallet and Big Corro to walk in, get any deeper vision. So they got the standard river wards, but nothing really gained on the side of Phong Vu. Obviously, nothing is going to equal a first blood at this stage of the game, but generally you can get a ward on a blue buff or something like that. In this situation, not even the case.
Well, at least Meliodas did hold onto his flash, which I think is a smart decision, but that's about all the good news for the start of that play, as Fenerbahçe will be happy with that first blood.
But Fenerbahçe didn't have to use any summoner spells either. You know, this isn't an early ignite down, so the Draven lane's still going to have bully potential into the Ezreal Tahm Kench. This is a lane for me that is a must-win for Fenerbahçe. If you get the Draven ahead, can be so threatening. We already saw that against the Bombers when Hades was able to take over that mid-game after a very impressive laning phase. However, you know, if it shuts down, if turrets start to break, you know, potentially Ruin has a good early game. Meliodas top.
Yeah, Zeros only level 1, but as you said, the jungler's going to try and make the difference. Red buff here for the Kindred. Zeros going to keep moving back and forth. A great stun, and that's the kill. Meliodas gets some revenge.
And Meliodas bypasses a mark to get top lane and impact the map before Kure can go for it. Kure, pretty standard jungle pathing, once again goes for his full top side clear. Well scouted by Phong Vu Buffalo. And they punish the top laner of Fenerbahçe.
Still has the mark here as well. Will collect it, puts the smite down, needs 1 or 2 more autos, and that's enough for mark number 1. Another stun lands. It's 2v2 potential here in the top side. Zeros wants it. There's Kire though. Flash looks for the flick, but Zeros with a great flash to react. And now going to go after it again. Zeros diving through the pebbles is ill-advised, but Melly still with the red buff, going to force a flash out of Ruin. Could get a double kill, but he needs to navigate very carefully.
Teleport coming in.
Nice ward down as well. Meliodas just going to buy the time. He gets Ruin. He's going to make it 2. Who's going to grab the next one? Zeros wants it, and he will receive it. And Meliodas rewrites so much of that level 1.
And already a massive impact for the jungler of Phong Vu Buffalo. We said with the Renekton Talia that camp top lane was going to be the goal. Well, mission failed so far. This is after the first blood going down. Zeros flashes out of the stun, dashes back through the pebbles, however, pastry time. And from here, Meliodas just plays the waiting game. Puts the ward down in the brush, so they're able to cut off the retreat with the teleport. Fenerbahçe know they must go aggressive, and even leaving the kill for the Aurelia means that the top lane will now start to swing in Zeros' advantage.
And of course, the standard on Kindred is to mark the enemy jungler at the start of the game. So Meliodas even got mark number 2 off all of that play. So again, for someone that face checked and died at level 1, things are going swimmingly.
Already 5 kills at level 4, so you see exactly why Fenerbahçe tried to turn the heat up in the draft with things like the Renekton, like the Draven, to force the tempo in this game. These champions so good at early phases. However, the coordination and the fact that I feel like Phong Vu was just more used to playing at this pace is coming out key.
Well, good look here in the bot side. Big Corro forced to shift away, ignite, burn, and heal burn on the other side there for Pallet, but the Braum Draven plan is at least working for now.
Yeah, step number 1, right? Burn some summoner spells, exert some pressure, get the wave pushing, get access to that bottom side of the map. Now try and escort Kire into the lane, look for your turret dives. Is very difficult versus something like a Tahm Kench, but they will go for it anyway.
Actually have a level lead here as well for now, as Pallet going to try and get some work done here and give some minions over. Meliodas also down here, as only 35 eats the tongue lash, and Kire also going off to the other side. So just a plate for now. I mean, that's great for Hades, who's trying to cash in, at least gets a bit of early bonus gold.
And it's going to be a Kleptomancy on Hades as well, so he's picking himself up like sacks of gold, red pots at the same time, so not only relying on the cash-in to build the advantage, but also the fact that with the Kleptomancy going to have access to that. Also want to point out the fact that Kire, because of how much control bottom side he has, I don't think has taken his Gromp. And that's the mark for Meliodas right now. So Meliodas is going to struggle to get into that bottom side of the jungle, so Kure can just leave it up for as long as he wants. Now mid lane.
Oh, actually might be a kill here. That ult's almost enough to get it. Balulu with a good calculation, but Meliodas does live.
Yeah, surprising amount of damage coming out of the Vel'Koz at this stage of the game. If you're not used to the procs coming across, now top lane, Kure looking for Zeros one more time.
Again, he knows his jungler isn't here, so Zeros needs to play with a bit more respect. Perhaps good stun. The flick does not land. And Zeros sniffs that gank out and gets out safely.
Hugs the wall, is aware that he is under the line of fire right now. With Meliodas back in base, was not going to be any response gank, so calm play from Zeros. Didn't have the summoner spell available, but still able to escape with his life, and builds another big wave into Ruin, which means it has to just farm that one at turret. Will be able to get the reset, and after fireworks early, last couple of minutes have been relatively tame, and I think that that suits the side of Phong. If they can get this Ezreal in a situation where he's mid lane, they have, you know, Zeros playing bottom lane and Null playing top with that split AD, AP damage, dictating the terms to Fenerbahçe. They will struggle to siege up into the Ezreal Tahm Kench, who just has first access to the wave. And the 1-3-1 is very hard to rip a skillful team out of. They're going to have to get creative with the Talia walls, you know, potentially look to get Hades ahead.
Well, I mean, Hades, like you said, has certainly completed step 1, and I'll call this step 1.5 for the BF Sword and a Vampiric Scepter, so looking to continue some of that domination here with about a wave ahead. Pallet going to come back and make sure nothing crazy happens.
Raven feels so bad if you can't base on BF Sword. If you force him back on something like a Vamp Scepter first, or, you know, even Longsword, it is a really good position to have to lane in. However, now with BF Sword and Vamp Scepter, he's going to be able to stick around. They go aggressive.
Yep, got to go for it here. Going to look to tie up Pallet. There's Meliodas, but he might be too late for this one. Stand aside used. Not quite enough. The True Shot Barrage does poke down only 35 a little longer. Pallet may be making this a little too obvious as Hades. No, he eats the Tongue Lash. Not the trade he wanted.
However, does have the Vamp Scepter, and he's going to be able to just sit here and hit creep. So if he doesn't die on this next wave, should be back to full. And keeping the lane volatile is what Draven wants. Ezreal just wants a farm lane. Wants to be able to use that teleport to be able to get back in, you know, play the tempo game. If you're just fighting a Draven at all stages, you know, already 73 CS, going to be able to cash in a fairly large amount. Feel like they're playing Fenerbahçe's game bottom lane. Get back into your solo lanes, you know, catapult Null and Zeros ahead and try and play towards your strengths right now is key for Phong.
Well, I think maybe this is part of the story. Meliodas is going to sneak over the wall and take a Drake here.
And Pallet just hovering Meliodas so he can, you know, use the W to eat him out of that pit if needed. Just a little heads up play. Big Horror was back in base, so not going to be all that much done in the bottom lane.
Oh, goes back for it. Zeros burning the ulti. Ruin also using his. Zeros going to have to keep trying to kite it out. The stun lands in. The Fury stacking up a little bit, but Zeros might actually be able to get it. It's going to be close, but Ruin with the stats flashes in, gets the last little bits, and does take the solo kill.
And you can see Kirei also first jungler to rotate, so that was always in Fenerbahçe's favor. As soon as the first stun missed, I feel like Zeros could not fight there. Burns a summoner style, still falls down, and Ruin 13 CS down, but grabs himself a solo kill.
Now they're going to try and cover. Zeros does have his TP. They might think about a play here. But no TP going to be burnt just yet. Zeros goes back to the wave instead. And Kindred will return back to her side of the jungle.
Let's take another look at this. So this is a stun I'm talking about, Pastry. As soon as that falls, I feel like this is a risky play to go towards. You know, Dominus popped instantly. And Ruin just able to keep up the consistent damage. Looked like it was going to get a little bit close, but, you know, second part of the slice and dice, immediate flash follow into the brush. Ruin knew he had that kill. And unfortunately for Zeros, you know, a lot of that early good done for his lane. Oh, by Meliodas has now been under.
Nice bit of placement there from Balulu. Prevents any follow-up and just burns the ulti and says, you know what? That's not a trade, this is one.
That is sick damage already coming out of the Vel'Koz in the mid lane. And you can see up in CS, still has that kill. That was the first blood. Whirling Death comes across. Whee!
Does not find Null, but actually tags Meliodas. So a bit of extra vision there from the Draven, and nice attempt from Hades. Kind of no reason not to try it. Did that go back to base?
Yep.
That was hilarious.
Hey, bends it like that dodgy show that was about the people that could bend bullets. So what I was going to say is the fact that now with the Bloodthirster picked up, Hades can just sit in bottom lane forever. You know, continue to farm up those stacks. Change lands mid lane, however.
Lulu the target. Good flash, good cleanse. Very respectful as Pallet and Meliodas were on the way.
And this makes Kirei's job much easier. No longer does he have to be worried about the volatility. He can go top.
Stun lands, but Dominus pop. The Weaver's wall in, and Zeros now going to have to fight his way out. Meliodas here. Does have the ulti ready to go. Zeros wants to try and make a play of it. Does live, and now Meliodas is going to keep them away, and there's everybody else here. Here's Hades. Flash stand aside, going to force the flash out of the Kindred.
Fenerbahçe forcing the tempo of this game. Pallet will be able to rotate up to the play, but you can see Ezreal still bottom lane looking to break open the map.
Good bit of damage here as well. Some plate gold also being collected. Meliodas, not much health left. Does have his ultimate, but doesn't really want to use it, just trying to defend this turret. More plates going down. A nice double stun there from Zeros, but the minion waves keep crashing in, and Fenerbahçe just abusing this man advantage.
And awareness of where Null currently is pinged out on the ward, so they will back away, but it is still nearly 4 plates going down. Big Koro does get a reprieve here, being able to pick up some plates bottom lane, but already Ruin tracking towards it. And that's just Fenerbahçe forcing the pace of this game, using the earlier spike on the Draven. I was going to say they could use him to just sit in the lane and start absorbing farm and become the late game threat. Instead, forcing the tempo throughout their AD carry. And you have to say, so far, Hades and only 35 do look more promising.
Looking again though for Kire. Meliodas though just not really very tanky. Again, the whirling death comes in, and that's enough for a snipe. Ulti was up, he just didn't use it.
And that was a cash-in pastry time, and should mean now that complete topside control achieved. That's a 1,200 gold lead already for the Draven. You know, we said they bottom lane needed to step up, needed to perform better, and so far, so good.
Certainly so, as the Rift Herald smacking back around. Big Koro looking for the steal. We'll find out in a second who got it, as Balulu was under fire here in mid lane. Null finally able to seal the deal on that kill.
And time again, when top lane looks like it's going badly, Zeros gets active on the map, gets into mid lane, helps out Null. They secure the kill there. That is a play against the tide of the current game. Is going to mean Kire rotates across, cleans out a mid lane turret, plate will fall. But the creativity of Fongvu to use their top lane, and I think it's actually echoed very nicely by Fenerbahçe as well in their usage of Ruin. You know, back against the wall, gets the play.
Well, up almost 2,000 gold for Fenerbahçe, as team's still looking to try and take down that first turret with the Rift Herald that was collected by Kire. Have to think that that should be an easy take there for Fenerbahçe, but also Infernal up in 15 seconds, so game developing quite nicely here as the teams do stay close.
And I think that's the reason they've left Null mid lane. They want to push out this lane with Big Koro and Pallet and potentially use the Tahm Kench ult to still be able to challenge that objective. You know, no teleport available for Zeros right now. If that was not the case, if it was something like an air drake, actually, Herald spawn mid.
Oh, good chain again there from Null. That might be a kill there, but Balulu lives for a little while longer, and Zeros, he got so greedy and was punished for that kill. Melee this time able to pop the Lamb's Fire, but that's going to force them away from the turret and away from that Drake.
And the charge going to go down as well. Mid lane turret could break here, Pastry.
Looks like it will, just in time to collect the plates as well. Looking for maximum delivery on that money.
And another situation where Ruin has not had to rotate, can stay top lane, will take that turret down as well. Gold swing in favor of Fenerbahçe. All of the turrets looking to be broken, plus an Infernal Dragon. Very good early game, and you know, we said that Meliodas has been the king of kind of dictating the pace. I feel like a lot of the catalyst has actually come out of the bottom side of Summoner's Rift. Ray still instrumental, but Hades and only 35, much more active this game in rotating around, getting early to the play and having impact.
Not just enough to, you know, get ahead in your lane, get a lead, but they've translated well. Balulu, I thought he was dead to rights here, but lives just long enough there in Zeros. He wants it and he does not get it.
Yeah, and once again, diving through the pebbles, a little bit greedy there for Zeros. Gets knocked up by a very nice ultimate. The use of the Kindred ultimate afterwards means that even though Ruin is top lane without teleport, there's no way they can contest it. They have to let it go. And just the current item timings and spikes means that if Fongvu can't break up this death ball comp, you know, as we were saying during Champions League, if they can't get Balulu answering sideways, if he can just park himself mid, it's going to be very hard to shake Fenerbahçe off turrets. And Fongvu don't have the best team fight right now.
Yeah, as you said, they played 1-3-1. They played it a lot so far, both domestically and here at MSI, and that was kind of what the script was for the comp. And if they can't actually get into these lanes and start the minion waves pushing, well, this stuff's going to happen where Ruin does not dodge the stun, but again, Kire behind him to force Zeros off any thought of aggression.
And first movement for bottom lane, time and time again, you can see Draven as well as Braum push in, then they walk as a unit towards mid lane. That means that Null has to back away. Vision can be swept out and pressure exerted on Summoner's Rift.
And again, especially impressive, I have to say, versus a Tahm Kench with Unsealed Spellbook, so plenty of options for Phong Buffalo to get themselves around the map. They just don't really have any map to get around because they haven't taken any turrets yet.
Yeah, and I'm still confused as to why they've parked the LeBlanc mid lane. I don't think he has any kill threat as long as that cleanse is up and available. Meliodas doesn't add all that much apart from damage to the gank either. Would like to see Big Coro and Pallet parked in that mid lane position and use them as a pivot point around the map. I think that this is just playing exactly into Fenerbahce's hand.
Yep, you're just letting the Draven do his thing. Hit you, hit the creeps, whatever happens. He collects gold, he gets stacks, and he lash deals up with that Bloodthirster and that second BF sword already done.
And they just can't generate any threat on Summoner's Rift right now. No lane is in danger of dying on the side of Fenerbahce. And with that, you know, all the lanes are also being played on Phong side of the map, so no push priority being generated. That means that Kurei's ultimate becomes even more valuable, can just play that reactive style that we've talked about so much. And if Fenerbahce keep the game in this state for another 5-10 minutes, they're going to have their items stacking up. You can already see 2 items picked up for Balulu. There would be nearly 2 items on the Draven as well. That's when Baron and the zone control just becomes a huge objective, and you can't face check without the tank.
Yeah, I like the note there for the Vel'Koz here. Makes it so much easier to try and find these snipes and these picks as people roam around. Not a bad 2v2 attempt there, but again, when you don't kill the bloodthirsting Draven, he just heals straight back up and then runs back to collect more creeps.
Well, beyond that pastry time, even when you set up, oh, they go in.
Flash looking for the ulti. Doesn't quite grab it just yet. No, actually a good double knockup from only 35. Ulti though, burn, and Fenerbahce again, first to the play. They'll even TP down. Zeros gonna come in, but he might be too late. Pallet is gonna fall. That's gonna be a double kill. And now Meliodas also dying. A good ult there from Zeros, but it's so late.
And Fenerbahce don't dominate that team fight. They were there first, have easy access through the river. Null had to go all the way through his jungle as a LeBlanc and didn't even arrive to the play on time. Great force from only 35, stepping up in a big way in this key matchup.
And gives the cash in over to Hades for the second time around, as they'll also take the last outer turret. Zeros gonna try something, but can't really face check this Draven, especially not with the Braum next to him. So we'll just collect the wave instead.
And I think running out of time and options right now for Phong. Fenerbahce have dictated the terms of the entirety of this game, from first blood to how top lane went. You know, a lot of pressure from Meliodas, but Zeros losing that crucial 1v1 really did set the tone. And without the strong, you know, side lanes, without LeBlanc being able to push into Balulu bot, and, you know, Zeros pushing into Ruin top, there's really no way they can use this Tahm Kench in any form of proactive play. In saying that, time and time again, we've seen Hades and only 35 generating advantages for the Fenerbahce lineup. You know, with Baron now becoming an objective with another Infernal Dragon, it's not like you can just split the map up and avoid the team fights. Fenerbahce can start the objectives and make you come to them. With this Vel'Koz as fed as he is, it's going to be difficult to contest.
Yeah, pretty lopsided fights as well between the Vel'Koz and now the Infinity Edge finish for the Draven. I mean, Ruin somewhat caught here, but the Iceborne Gauntlet not enough. In fact, the Twin Shadows might spell doom here for Big Coro. Does flick out onto Pallet. Arcane shifts away to safety with Pallet. Not so lucky. He's going to get burnt down by the laser as Balulu gets kill number 2.
Look at the damage out of the rookie of Fenerbahce. Both of the slows landing, the spooky ghost as well as a Hextech GLP. That will secure them another Infernal Dragon. And if champions like Draven Talia, Renekton, and the Vel'Koz don't love Baron, the Infernal, I don't know who does.
To be fair, they also like Baron, and it's feeling like a very real possibility in 30 seconds time when it will spawn for the first time this game. But Infernal number 2, a gold lead of pretty close to 6,000, and all the momentum in the world here for Fenerbahce.
And finally, we see Phong go into the 1-3-1 for the first time.
Oh, Gabo. Nice arcane shift.
Yeah, very good buffering coming out of Big Coro there. And it does lead them to having some push priority on the top lane. You can see right now that Ruin has picked himself up a Black Cleaver as well as a Tabby, but not going to really have any answer against the LeBlanc and its mobility. But how do they stop this portion of the map is the big question.
Yeah, again, they're just even going for the aggressive play. I love it here from Fenerbahce, just forcing them off the turret. Kira even down here as well to make it an uneven fight. And that will give yet another turret, number 4, over to Fenerbahce as Zeros and Pallet can only watch.
And because there is no threat on the Baron right now for the Phong lineup, you know, Hades can stay down here and there's not really any available punish. And try and bring the Tahm Kench down, but that's going towards the strong side of the map. Instead, they need to hope that they can generate something on the flip side with the LeBlanc.
Zeros feigning some sort of strength here, but that's because the rest of his team is rotating down a full 5-man rotation, only to see Fenerbahce's duo lane run away.
And Vision's going to become crucial in this game because you see once again how well the bottom side jungle has been led up by the Fenerbahçe lineup. You see the 3 crucial wards in the triangle. And as long as that stays, you can push as far as you want bottom lane because you're always going to be able to spot out the rotation. Tahm has to cheat into the fog of war, cannot make the complete journey. Fongvu's going to need to get some form of river control so they can maybe look for Bolulu in rotation or pull the trigger early on and try and take down Ruin on the opposite side of the map, because I feel like, you know, walking through that warded up area just becomes more and more dangerous as this game progresses.
And kind of illustrate what's happened, I think, after that first blood onto Meliodas. It felt like Fenerbahçe, okay, they're off to the races, but that first initial play in top lane looked so good when Kindred picked up 2 stacks. That was about 10 minutes ago. Kindred's still at 2 stacks. I mean, Phong Buffalo have just not been able to generate anything apart from that one little play in top side.
And I was talking to Azael about this, actually, the ability to manipulate Kindred's stacks and where they're going to spawn, and the fact that Kirei left the Gromp up for so long, whilst Meliodas was in the power portion of the game, as Nor potentially looks for something, just because he knew that Hades and only 35 could defend the camp by themselves. And I think that it's little nuanced information and the ability to play the champion to the highest level. Kirei, being the Kindred player himself, knows how to punish it.
And I think that's been true for Fenerbahçe across the Rift so far, continuing to build up that lead. We will see Phong Buffalo play from very significantly behind in this game. Weavers well going in, they do get the kill on the Meliodas, and now Pallet also caught out of position. Bolulu just has enough, and again, teaming up with the jungler to find those picks.
And time again, it is Kirei looking for it. Nor goes in.
Oh, Nor with a big Mimic Distort, but he doesn't get the pick. He's now even forced to flash out of there, and he might be dead. Ruin gonna land the stun. They get the flick, and that is enough as Kirei seals it.
Nor tries to play hero, but it is Fenerbahçe now who will move towards Baron. That's a kill.
Good ward, able to get the flash Q and at least get 1 kill onto Bolulu, but I don't know if Xerath and Big Korra can do this 1v4. Sorry, 2v4, math is hard. Unbreakable though does block the true shot barrage. They can't get in the Baron, they can't really win a fight. Not sure what PVB can get done here. Good all from Xerath, but again, that beat is buying time. They want to try and steal it away, but the smite is good. Aurelia is dead, and Big Korra now going to turn tail and run.
And now the Tahm ultimate coming in with support. They tried to stall, but it will be a successful retreat for Fenerbahçe. They keep 4 members alive with the Baron buff. Now a 9,000 gold advantage, looking to close out this game.
And again, Phong Buffalo grasping at straws here, trying to find an exit kill, but nothing forthcoming. Fenerbahçe, again, so far ahead in this game.
And if your win condition is to play 1-3-1, playing 1-3-1 against a Baron is nigh impossible. They can just use the empowered creeps to slowly push you in, encroach on the base. Not going to be all that much wave clear available for Fongvu. No real clear way, in my eyes, Pastry, to stall out this game against the Siege. And Fenerbahçe just seem to, once again, play around the win conditions well. They know exactly what Fongvu want to play towards. They don't go into the 1-3-1 themselves. They leave Bolulu mid lane. They pivot around Hades, around only 35. And this might be one of the best international subs I think I've ever seen. What a turnaround performance from the bottom lane of Fenerbahçe.
Yep, picks the same champion and makes it look a whole lot different. Look at those synchronized score lines as well. 2-0-7. Nearly a step wrong there. Azera's going to get caught. I don't know how many more times I have to say Bolulu and Kirei, but Bolulu and Kirei doing a really good job all day long, just teaming up to find pick after pick.
And it was the unique pick of the Vel'Koz that kind of threw the spanner in the works against LeBlanc, negated what is normally a very good winning lane. You can just see how much damage coming out of the Vel'Koz right now.
Forcing the Lamb's Respite, Pallet even devours him just to make extra special sure. But there's a Whirling Death in. Not quite the right angle there for Hades, but again with the Baron buff still on for a minute 35. Fenerbahçe just looking to knock down these turrets.
And Ruin trying to hold the wave as much as possible so they can crash them simultaneously. Knows there isn't enough to stop both sides.
Whoa, Kirei straight in there with the Weaver's Wall. Pops the stasis as well, using that stopwatch, but very reckless. In fact, too reckless as Pallet grabs the shutdown.
Yeah, must have been a misclick from Kirei. Didn't know he was on the wall, and now that's going to be Tahm ultimate coming across.
Yep, again looking to try and find more pickups. Ruin though, relatively tanky, but he's going to be in a 1v5 situation. That's going to be too many for this old crocodile. Ruin is going to fall. Oh, he does get a trade kill, but the shutdown gold also goes to Big Korra.
So able to trade 1-for-1 in a disastrous situation, but still Baron now will run out. They won't be able to break the base just yet. So Disastrous play from Kirei. Nearly inexcusable in what is such an important game. It looks like he's using the wall to try and separate top to bottom tower. So, create two areas to play around, but takes it into the base. And you can see that Ruin should just be able to take this turret. Should have been a siege setup in the mid lane as well. Instead, they'll lose two crucial members, give over shutdown gold, and allow the rest of the Baron to expire. This means the game's going to elongate. Whilst right now it looks like Fenerbahçe in firm control, anything can happen.
Yeah, Zeros trying to make anything happen right now, but he gets stunned up by concussive blows and lays it down as Kirei finds the last hit, and Zeros, he has been reaching this game.
Yeah, he certainly has. He looks desperate, honestly. And whilst this isn't an elimination game for Phong Buffalo, pressure does come on if you have to play the same team again in the tiebreaker in like 5 hours time. That is so long to sit there and stew on the mistakes you make, try and mentally reset. And we already saw as the day progressed for both of these teams, the games did get sloppier. And right now it looks like Fenerbahçe have a much better grasp on the pace of the game and just being able to slow down. With the exception of Kirei, who just made, a pretty big blunder. The game has looked very controlled from Fenerbahçe's lineup.
And again, for all the talk for both these teams really about how good their top sides have been, we were surprised and impressed by the Phong Buffalo duo lane, but we have to give the same credit now to Hades and only 35 subbing in for this game. Again, I already talked about how cute their synchronized scorelines are, but they are good scorelines to boot. Draven with 3 items and a stopwatch as another Infernal Drake is on the horizon.
Especially the fact that this team just had a game dictated to them when they were playing. Hold that thought.
Hero riding in again. This time he did want to take the wall, but Twin Shadow is going to force a flash out of pallet.
Meanwhile, bottom lane as well, Zeros has been chased out of his lane, so pushing in multiple areas. You can see finally it looks like PVB looking for the 1-3-1. LeBlanc was topside pushing that lane out as far as she safely could. But with next Dragon being Infernal and Baron coming back up in a minute, you're going to have to group up and fight again, and I don't think they have the tools to be able to push the lanes out far enough to make Ruin answer. Only the 2 first-tier turrets taken down versus the 6 at Fenerbahçe, and playing in your base as a 1-3-1 comp just is not fun.
Yeah, I mean, you want long lanes in a 1-3-1, but this is the wrong kind of long lane here for Phong Buffalo. Even that mid-outer turret's still up, kind of just adding a bit of insult to injury. As Fenerbahçe are just going to regroup after Kirei's little oopsie there, mashing the R button maybe one too many times. And look to take this next Baron, maybe the Infernal if they do fancy it. It's on the menu in a few minutes as well.
And maybe positive signs here is that Big Koro has got towards these items that he needs, is sitting on 3.5 items, has parity at least to Hades. In a straight DPS race, obviously Hades is going to be able to win that one, but if able to keep it an arm's length, Big Koro can have team fight impact, potentially if an objective is started up and he gets good positioning, can look to chip people out of health bars. Needs to do something special in this team fight, but really is the last shining light of the Phong Buffalo lineup.
Yeah, it seems like maybe that last chance in this game at least is coming up in about 10 seconds time when the Baron respawns.
Now this looks much better pace through time if we can take a look at the map. You see how far up the lane Null is able to push, create a pressure point, and that was all because it was Balulu answering the lane. They have currently got Hades mid. You can see that's not how they want to play the game because Balulu keeps walking through the jungle back and forth, saying, get me the heck out of this lane, I want to be somewhere else. Ideally, I want to be parked mid lane, creating that priority. Instead, it's not going to be the case. It's going to be the slow withdraw into Baron. Is a couple of crucial wards on top side of the Baron pit that teleports are available for. However, Zeros is still not up and available. Ruins is. So if ever the Renekton goes onto the bottom lane, can just create that pressure sink that we keep talking about.
There's some space here for Phong Buffalo to play with, but going to move in and try and take down some of these wards. Someone got ignited. That was Pallet's spellbook, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was because he wanted flashback and available, give him the benefit of the doubt.
Kirei also forced into stasis, burns his Zhonya's.
And this is a dangerous time for Fenerbahçe, even with an 8,000 gold lead. I think that they want to still try and keep Zeros in the bottom lane. You need to use advantages. Hades now was the target briefly.
I mean, if Phong Buffalo can delay this Baron take, can try and buy some time. Null actually looking to be the pick, but Laser is out. Phong Buffalo rotate around for a bit of body protection.
Maybe Tarmkemp's ult burnt as well.
Did hold on to Lamb's Respite. I guess that was the plan. Get the medic in and pop the ulti and try and keep your mid laner alive, but we'll hold on to at least one cooldown here as Kirei just barely misses a shave there by the True Shot Barrage.
And one axe from Hades does a large portion of Zeros' health, so you see the AD carry who will now look to just solo out the 3rd Infernal Dragon of the game. Again, Null just trying to create some pressure top, but Fenerbahçe doing a relatively good job of navigating this portion of the game.
Hades also just destroying that poor Drake. Will get the extra Infernal. That's 3. They're going to try and pull the trigger, but Hades, he's thrown back in towards the team fight. Lands a spike pot. Fenerbahçe might just be too far ahead for it. Samana Nor going to dive in towards Kire, but Hades on a killing spree. Gets the kill with a whirling death. Nor does finally get Kire, so the Joker will be down for the count around this next Baron, but palletizes Hades, grabs the double kill and the double cash in. Fenerbahçe just too strong as Big Koro running for his life, and immediately the flashes down the stand aside. Will miss there from the Draven, but the heal will ensure the kill. That last axe, no, he needed one more. Hades still wants a ruin kill. Null on the other side of the map, and it's only 2 left now for Phong Vu Buffalo. Big Koro trying to stay alive, but that's about all the good news left.
And Meliodas able to trade back means it is a 1-for-1, and probably best case scenario, a 3-for-2 overall for Phong Vu Buffalo. But you can see Fenerbahçe immediately retreat back to that Baron area. Want to keep the pressure on for now.
It's an ADTP. Big Koro nice and aggressive, trying to make sure nothing funny's happening around the Baron. Does clear out some vision here. Meliodas also here, another aggressive TP.
Are they going to start up the Baron?
Zeros on top of a ward, does complete that TP. They are starting it up. I'm not sure this works.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Looks like that's the case here. Meliodas just too low, taking the Baron for too long, and Kira's already out on the map. Didn't even use the ulti to get back out, and now it's Fenerbahçe back towards where they wanted to be this whole time, around the Baron, but this time there's a lot less pesky Phong Vu Buffalo members around them as Kire, he trapped himself in the wall there.
Yeah, in saying that, Zeros has nowhere to go, should fall.
Let's get the stun down, can't really dash through the pebbles, does still get a few, and Hades unstoppable at 5 kills now. Fenerbahçe turn back towards the Baron.
And once again, it's going to be a 4v5 around the big objective on Summoner's Rift. No real way in here, Pastry Time, no initiation. They need some poke to land, but against Bolulu's Vel'Koz, this has been a very troubling spot.
Oh, Big Koro just gets singled out by Ruin. What a good hiding spot the Croc found. Baron is getting low. Maybe it's just a steal attempt and nothing else. Alamso Spite is ready. Meliodas has to be careful. He goes there. No, it's Talia that grabs the smite and secures the Baron as Big Koro is forced away by the laser. The Whirling Death will not find him. Meliodas does fall, and Fenerbahçe once again with the Baron.
And the patient play one more time from Fenerbahçe, able to corral. They did in the end take a 50-50 smite, but come up trumps. And you can see Bolulu not really all that concerned with Null anymore, with a second Baron buff and 3 Infernal Dragons looking to close out this game.
Yep, Inhibitor in top lane will be ripped open by Fenerbahçe. Still 20 seconds on Meliodas, and Fenerbahçe just looking to end the game. Zeros with an ulti, it's not bad. He pops into stasis, needs to buy a bit more time. Dives back around, but he's just got nothing here as Kire gets low, but Nor does find a pick. Finds only 35, but Kire still alive. As Pallet getting tried down by Bolulu, whose poke is absolutely massive. Nor gonna dive back in with the Banshee's protection, and that will force Fenerbahçe out for now.
And one more time, and Phong Vu Buffalo repel the Turkish squad from the base. It looked like it was all over there, but heroic efforts coming through from Null. But time and time again, it just looks like it is disaster being averted, playing on the back foot. Take another look at this one, Pastry Time. Zeros with a nice ultimate into the Zhonya's Hourglass, but watch the LeBlanc. Able to dash in for a very nice double distort, able to pick up the kill. That would have been a second if the Zhonya's Hourglass timing was a little bit better. No summoner spells there for Hades. Big shutdown available as well for Big Koro. Not able to time it, however. Fenerbahçe will just look to redeploy onto the map and close this one out.
Again, not too much left to worry about. Still over 10,000 gold ahead. Still have Baron on a select few members for a minute 45. Phong Vu Buffalo gonna have to do that at least one more time just to get the game back to a state where maybe they can start to play League of Legends again, because Fenerbahçe have just dictated, as you said, from minute 1 all game long. Phong Vu Buffalo have been playing on the defense, which is not really where we usually see them, as only 35 lives as well. With the Unbreakable up, Whirling Death does not tag the Kindred, so Meliodas will live.
In saying that, it is the LeBlanc that is starting to become a threat. Null has quietly farmed himself towards a death cap here. Still the impossible if they are to hold on in this game, but tools becoming a little bit more readily available. Fenerbahçe doing the smart thing though, Pastry Time. They're just going to whittle around the base, play the war of attrition.
No need to get crazy, just taking down all the inhibs as they can. Nor poking in onto Ruin, but a good poke answered back there by Bolulu, and that's not going to be forced back to the fountain. That looks to be that inhibitor being forfeited as a result. And all three down now with Baron still left for 45.
Triple inhibitor down versus Baron is a disaster. They have to fight now.
Looking for something. Hades going to get poked back, but you have to kill all of the Draven, because that lifesteal just keeps him alive if you do not. Palo though getting chunked down. Nor gets disintegrated as Hades dominating. Gets yet another kill, and he's going to grab the double. This could be the Panther here. No, Valkos able to grab the third one, but Fenerbahçe will play for a tiebreaker here as they go towards the fountain. The triple kill lands over in for Hades, and Big Koro, he's fighting as valiantly as he can, but it is all for naught as these teams will meet again. The ace completed by Ruin, and Fenerbahçe thrust destiny into their own hands and have yet another date at the end of the day.
And it was the two-horse race from the start of this group. Isurus and Bombers able to pick up upset victories, but in the end, it is the split 1-1 between these two teams, which will mean we play a tiebreaker at the end of the day. Fenerbahçe come into day 2 of this MSI play-in tournament much better prepared, I feel, for the pace of the games. They're dictating it now onto their terms. It's slowed down and looks much easier for their carries to navigate the team fights.
You highlighted the jungle matchup at the start of this game, and as soon as Meliodas died at level 1, getting first blooded kind of was a bad omen for the rest of Phong Buffalo.
And the courageous change-up pastry time really set the tempo for this game. You know, new support in, but also very creative pick in the Vel'Koz going into that mid lane. I feel like the coaching staff of Fenerbahçe really need to be applauded off the back end of that, because they gave their team a unique set of tools going onto Summoner's Rift, a different look for Phong to play up against, and they did not cope with it well.
I mean, a 36-minute game, some good defense here and there for Phong Buffalo to, you know, keep themselves afloat, but at that point, that kill that Meliodas had all that time ago in the top lane is so far removed from my mind that I can barely remember the mistakes that Fenerbahçe have made. They just played such a, not flawless, but such a clean game to earn the tiebreaker here.
Yeah, and they knew that the brawl was going to be on the top side of the map. They stepped into it. They lost the first couple of skirmishes, you know, with Meliodas having a great impact. But credit to both Ruin and Curate. They stuck to the game plan. They knew they had to get Renekton ahead, otherwise the 1-3-1 was going to be oppressive. Well, they were able to do that. They were able to revisit the lane and right the mistakes that they had made early on. And then, you know, Hades and only 35 dictated the pace of the bottom side of the map nearly single-handedly and rotated around there as a pivot point and just, you know, able to secure objective after objective.
As a result, a well-earned player of the game there for only 35. Not bad for your first game at MSI ever as your team throws you in there against Phong Buffalo.
Maybe the understatement of the game. I mean, with this bottom lane, they were able to move around the map. I think they took 11 turret plates. He was involved in so much of the kills, only picked up the 1 death, and this is a lineup that just had a shocker of a bottom lane performance. You know, Lucio and Braum losing out to a Vayne lane is certainly not something I expected. Instead, they come in with the Draven, with the Braum, they play bully, and they take over Summoner's Rift.
And I think, again, good decisions there made basically all game long there for Fenerbahçe. Definitely curious to see. You talked about coaching stuff. I think do need to be applauded there for Fenerbahçe as you kind of see that gold graph telling, I would say, the whole story.
Yeah, I would say the gold graph, and then I would love to see where the champions were positioned on Summoner's Rift throughout the side of the game, because I feel like all of the game was played on Phong Buffalo's side of the map, and that their solo laners were never really able to deploy onto the map at the same time and implement the 1-3-1. It was stuck in a 1-4, it was stuck in the slog and the jungle fights for such a long time of this game that just meant that it was playing right into Fenerbahçe's hands.
I don't think we've ever done whole team forward percentage spawn, but maybe for you, we'll have something cooked up. Based on cumulative win time, however, Phong Buffalo will get side selection for their tiebreaker, which will be played after today's game. So still one left here for Group A, and then 4 games of Group B. So as you said, Spawn, a lot of time for these teams to think about that one critical game.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of time to stew on a 2-10 performance for Zeros as well. If he is so inclined, I think Red Side becomes incredibly important in now the best of 1 tiebreaker. Counter pick into Ruin does seem necessary for Phong Buffalo to get the advantage.
Well, on the other side, Isurus Gaming and the OPL Bombers each try to end their tournament run on a high note. We'll see you here for Game 4 after this.